Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the RetroPGF podcast. This is episode number 5. This is a podcast where we talk about everything RetroPGF by Optimism and share the stories of those who have already been successful at earning RetroPGF funding because of their contributions to the Optimism and Ethereum ecosystems. Today, I am super excited to have Bricia, aka Brichis, for a ton of reasons. She's one of the founders of Ethereum Mexico, and it's always been my opinion that Latin America is one of the best proving grounds for crypto and therefore optimism. And that's why having an initiative like Ethereum Mexico is so exciting, being one of, if not the biggest. Is Mexico the biggest economy in Latin America? Or probably, right? Unless Brazil.
I
Probably
think it's
Mexico
one
or
of the bigger
Brazil.
ones, but I'm not sure if it's the bigger one.
Well, regardless, it's a huge cultural center of Latin America, and one of, if not the biggest economies there. Um, and Bricia has a really cool story because, as I'm sure we'll get into, she's been getting a lot more involved in optimism ever since the Retro PGF round. And she's been one of the most active community members that I've seen since then. So, welcome to the podcast, Brichis. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Michael. You are really kind. I'm really excited to be here because I admire all your work. So I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's interesting because you kind of see the people in optimism that are active. They've kind of come in waves. So, like my wave was like at the same time as maybe Jesse, who now works for the foundation, and we kind of became active at the same time. And there were a couple others, and I'd say that you are kind of one of like the leading faces of this next big wave of people that's come in. Um, and yeah, so it's great to actually have this conversation. We've talked a little bit, but I'm excited to learn a little bit more about you and your background and everything too.
Yeah, so I'm not a technical person. Actually, my background was restaurant business. I used to work for restaurant business. I worked there almost 8, 9 years. Like from being waitress to being human resources head of human resources. So in 2021, I decided to leave that like ecosystem because was not healthy for me anymore. And in 2021, I have my kid, I had my son. So I decided that I want to have a better quality of life. And when I was like searching for opportunities, something come and a friend started to teaching me about Web3. And after I fall in love of Web3, and yeah, basically that's what happened. Like I start like finding my path, like what I want to do on Web3, and I'm really happy here.
So I'm curious, do you remember the first um, time that you were getting into Web3? Were you learning about Bitcoin first or Ethereum first, or what was your path?
There is
Or a
a
different network?
yeah, it's really funny because the friend who was teaching me about Web3, he's on meme coins. So my first experience was with meme coins, or more like shit coins, or on BNB and on Ethereum. And I didn't even
Which do you remember any? You have to say a name.
I don't remember, like I fall in a lot of honeypots. Like I didn't have any experience. I was buying
Right.
stuff. Like I was like, I didn't knew the difference between stable coins and other kind of tokens. So I was like, oh, this token looks really well. And he was like, okay, that token is a stable coin and will never change the price. And me like, oh.
That's amazing.
So at the same time that he was teaching me about, NFTs and meme coins, I was like, okay, I need to understand the basics. And I went, to the basic of the history of the money and what is Bitcoin and how Bitcoin will change the future. And after I discovered Ethereum, and I become like kind of Ethereum maxi. Sometimes I feel like I'm Ethereum maxi, and I really like it. Like I really like Ethereum. I really like what is around it, and I basically focus on that. Like I focus on Optimism that is really aligned to to Ethereum too. I focus on Ethereum Mexico that is really aligned to Ethereum. So basically, like I fall under Ethereum and I stay there for a long time.
So maybe that's a good segue. What is the story behind Ethereum Mexico and how that got started, along with your role in that?
Yeah. So before DevCon, like last year, we had a lot of movement in Mexico, like because we had it global, it Mexico, the hackathon, and we had DevCon in Bogota. So we had a lot of opportunities in Latin America. So basically, like Anna start Ethereum Mexico, like she asked, like to Ethereum Foundation if she can use the name of Ethereum. And she discovered like you can do whatever you want. You don't have to ask to anyone to do it. So she started, I received an invitation from her and I was like, yes, 100%. So we start with this. We start creating some stuff around Road to DevCon that was like a really big like movement on our events. And yeah, since then we have been doing activities on Mexico.
So maybe just for the audience, what kind of events have you done so far with Ethereum Mexico? And are most of these virtual or are some in person as well?
Both, like for example, for Road to DevCon, we did virtual classes, we did Twitter Spaces, we did like in real life workshops, we did meetups. We went to Eat Mexico, we went to Eat Latam, we went to Eat Bogota, we participate in DevCon. And this year we had a collaboration with Ledger. So we did events in 4 different cities and we had a virtual workshop too about like self-custodial and security. Yeah, that's what we have been doing.
Awesome. And I'm assuming that pretty much all of these events were in Spanish. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, Michael, you will have to practice your Spanish if you wanna if you wanna watch the content of Ethereum Mexico or attend.
I was browsing. I was browsing a little bit. I mean, luckily I can understand, but eventually my head starts to hurt because I'm still at that stage where it takes a lot of effort in order to translate and understand. But
You can do it.
but I'll have to practice.
Yeah, download
Will the
Duolingo.
Ethereum Mexico event be in Spanish? I'm assuming yes,
Yes,
right?
yes. We are thinking
Awesome.
maybe doing some exceptions, but only if like Vitalik wanna come. Like, okay, we can do an exception with you, but the most part of our talks will be in Spanish. Yes.
I mean, I think that's great to see because I'm sure you've realized that a lot of crypto and Web3 educational material is in English. The majority is in English, and I'm not exactly sure like how. I know there are a lot of amazing developers from Latin America, and um, but most people that I've met have also been bilingual that have been crypto developers. So I don't know if there's uh, like how do you view the current outlook of like when you were learning about crypto? Did you learn in English or in Spanish?
I when I joined like crypto, I didn't have the level of English that I have right now. Like my English is not perfect right now, but I can have a conversation, for example. But at the beginning, it was harder. So I start like with some in Spanish, with some in English. Like now, luckily, there is more content in Spanish, and I'm really happy because a lot of projects and a lot of people that admire are creating content on Spanish. For example, recently, Kairos like did some research about OP Stack and Superchain, or for example, Optimism en Español translate the article about law of chains. So this is stuff that is kind of technical. It's really hard for me to understand in English. Like I'm a not technical person. I'm more like close to the user experience than to the developer experience, you know? So I really appreciate that there is
Right.
stuff in my language.
Trust me, it's even hard for native English speakers to understand some of this stuff in English because it can be hard. I totally understand. That's why I think it's so great that there are initiatives like Ethereum Mexico that are putting out this educational material in Spanish and contributing to that whole body of work.
Yeah. And in some way, like we are starting to promote like people from Mexico and from Latin America start like producing impact for optimism. So that is great because like in my environment, I start to see like many projects that I really like producing impact for optimists. Like I really like optimists. I really like these Latin American communities, and I'm really happy to see this like collab.
Awesome. So that kind of works as a good transition into talking a little bit more about retroactive public goods funding and optimism. So I'm curious. Obviously, Ethereum Mexico was successful in receiving retroactive public goods funding for the work that they've done. But I'm curious, retroactive public goods funding, has or RetroPGF, as they like to call it, has a kind of different perspective with different people. So I'm curious how you would describe RetroPGF in your own words.
Like for me, Retro PGF2 was like a reign of optimism, literally, because like we was having conversations around like, hey, like with volunteer work, I don't know for how long we will survive, like we don't have money to do like a lot of events that we want to do or to pay salaries, like not even, like we was like having this kind of conversations about how we will survive. And after RetroPGF, like every change, like it was literally a life changer for Ethereum Mexico. So now that you like send me some like topics about these tourist spaces, I did an analysis of like the percentage of that RetroPGF to represent to our finances, and it's almost the 88%. Like it's crazy. Like we try other ways to find like funding, but RetroPGF was like a game changer. So yes, that's RetroPGF for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's great. That's one reason why I really like Ethereum Mexico's story is because um, some of the more well-funded projects that got retro PGF, even though they are super deserving of the funding, it might not be as big of a percentage of the funding that they receive for their organization, right? But with Ethereum Mexico, like you're saying, almost 90% or 88% of funding that you've received has been from that retro PGF round, which is really awesome. Especially because it might allow you to do more things in the future. And this is just one round. We still have the next round coming up in the fall of this year. So I'm curious, what did you all actually do with that funding? Did you distribute it to members, which of course is completely acceptable because it's retro funding and you've already earned it at that point? Or did you use it for something else?
To be honest, like we're using it to produce impact in the future. That was the agreement between the members. So this funding allows to do the payment for the venue, like do the advance payment for the venue for Ethereum Mexico 2023. So thanks to RetroPGF, we will have an event for 800 people on Mexico City to celebrate our communities, to celebrate like all what we are being building this year. So this is one. Second, we're doing Road to Ethereum Mexico. This is a proposed mission too, but we are taking the liquidity from here. So we say that we will do 4 events, but the truth is that we receive a lot of people and communities that want to do something in their own cities. So we're probably doing 9 cities and maybe 10 to 12 events. So we stretch the money to the here is Arielus. That is the person behind Rumbo Ethereum Mexico, and praise to him because he's working really hard around this effort. So yeah, we're doing this, like we're increasing our impact in local communities. We have a legal entity now. We have an accountant. We're getting ready for a surprise that we have for the day of the event. We did the first payment to our contributors. It's kind of symbolical, but like we're not volunteers anymore, So we're really happy about that. We save some money for transportation to attending real life events. For example, we will be at Cuernavaca on December 12th at the first Blockchain Innovation and Technology Day on Tecnológico de Monterrey in Cuernavaca. And we pay Twitter Blue. Now we have more reach on Twitter. We pay Notion. Now we can write, like all the members can write on Notion now, and we don't have too many restrictions than before. And we delegate a little bit of OP. Like Ariel worked on that too. Like Ariel and Diego proposed like a way to distribute the OP, and I think it was a great strategy.
That's awesome. It's honestly it's so exciting to hear that um like you said, you're using this to build more impact. And so I'm sure you're thinking about um, the next round of Retro PGF coming up soon and trying to have an impact now so that you guys would be eligible for more funding in that next round.
Yes, we want to apply for RetroPGF 3. We are preparing this road to Ethereum Mexico, like, and we're getting more of what we put in our proposed mission. So that is really exciting, like we're delivering more than what we said. For Ethereum Mexico 2023, we will have a lot of Optimism presence. Like I spoke with some people of Optimism, and we wanna that they they can be part of. And this surprise that we're preparing for our event, we wanted to be deployed on Optimism. I cannot speak a lot of that like right now because Laura is here too and she's checking that surprise. So I don't wanna like say anything that I should not say. And we are starting to analyze our impact and working on our transparency report. So we had been checking like some examples of communities that have like communicational threats. So we're getting ready for that.
Right. Amazing. That surprise sounds exciting. It makes me want to go even more to Ethereum Mexico in October.
You have to
Um,
go. There is
I think
100% a
okay.
chair for you.
I am looking at my calendar right now. I might have to mark those days as busy so that I can fly out. The nice thing is I'm based right now. I'm based in Florida, in
Hmm.
Miami, and so it's a short flight to Mexico City,
Yeah. So
more or less.
this year, our event will be more like workshops, talks, panels, and like it's only one day. It's on Saturday, 21st. But on Friday and on Sunday, we're pretty sure that the local communities will be preparing side events. So if you are checking your flights, like consider to come more days because there will be a lot of movement in Mexico City that days.
Well, I would have to stay for at least enough to explore the city and everything too. So yeah, I would definitely be there for a few days. I'm curious, shifting the topic a little bit, because we have you on the call. You've become a lot more involved in optimism governance over the last few months. And I'm curious, maybe you could describe how you kind of made the decision to become more involved and how the process has actually been for you.
Yeah, so when we was talking about this distribution, like we discussed that we want to participate more on the governance more actively. We are checking like delegates, like delegates from Latin America, from Mexico. We didn't find like delegates from Mexico, basically. Like, I don't remember if Lalo was a delegate for Arbitrum at that time, but like we didn't find anyone. So we was like shocked, like, oh, there is not any Mexican like in any protocol, in any, in any DAO. It's crazy. So I remember I was talking with Griff, like, oh, okay, maybe we can delegate to you and you can like support Mexico. And he was like, what? And I was like, okay, maybe I want to be delegate and you train me for 6 months and, like I get ready to be a delegate. And he was like, you can do it. Like, go and you will learn. So I decided to go by my side. I'm not specifically representing Ethereum Mexico only. Like, I represent the people who delegate their OP tokens, and there is a lot of communities from Latin America. So basically, that's what happened. Like, for me, the representation matters. And to see someone, like, to see a Latin American woman, mother, not technical person participating as a delegate, it's like that say that you can do it. Like whoever, like if you're listening this, it's like you can join governance too. Like you don't need like a lot of experience in governance for years to participate actively. So I'm on that experiment inside the other experiment of optimism governance. But basically is that like what happened if someone like me wanna participate, and like I don't know what will happen next. Like I really would like to see more people like me participating, not only in Optimism, in any protocol, in any DAO. Like I will be really excited to see like normal people in a way, like in the center of the decision making.
That's awesome. And one thing, just for the benefit of the audience, when you first started participating, uh, like I noticed you. Like I was like, okay, this person all of a sudden is a new person that's been showing up to all the calls, and um, and I'd say like you were able to make an impact just by consistently showing up pretty quickly. And it's not like you were this new delegate that was not doing anything that nobody had heard of. Pretty quickly, like I recognize your name. We talked on Discord, and this is our kind of our first long conversation that we've had together. But of course, when I was doing putting together a guest list for this podcast, I've seen your name so many times, and I thought of you that you would be great to have on. And so I think that just kind of shows that you did do it. You're in the process, and yeah, like you're saying, anybody can just jump in. It's all about just being there, contributing your thoughts on the forums, asking questions during the community calls, and you too can be an up and coming delegate like Brichis.
Yes, I think I'm kind of intense when something liked me. Like at the beginning was Ethereum with this, or crypto with this connection with human rights, and after I start more like going to public goods, and after I discovered Optimism and this disruptive vision about impact equal benefit, like for me it's a game changer, and I'm really passionate about that right now. Like I could be talking of Optimism all day, like checking the forum, checking the Discord. I don't know. I enjoy that. Like it's like I think what we are doing right now, what we are doing today can change the future. Imagine that not only in the virtual world, in the non-virtual world, in our day to day. Like I'm really excited about that.
Right, I'm right there with you. I mean, the different experiments that we're running with optimism, you can just see the power of RetroPGF just by Ethereum Mexico's story. And the great thing is, it's not the only story like that where people see this public good, which is for you guys, like this education and these events. And now you're empowered to actually build more of these events, knowing that if you do a good job, that there will be more funding waiting for you, having done a good job. Like all the incentives are in the right place, and like the previous funding is actually enabling you guys to scale up and to do better and better with these things. So I'm glad that we're on the same opinion on optimism, and I think that's one of the great things um, about optimism and retro PGF is it really is this system that you're saying could scale past crypto, and if it works within crypto within this blockchain, we could bring those learnings into the real world. So I think that brings me to another question that I had for you, and that's specifically about optimism. What are you excited about for the future of optimism?
Like, I'm excited to see who will want to build on the OP stack and be part of the super chain, because this is something that I didn't expect. When I saw Optimist, I was interested more in the vision. And after, when I enter a little bit more, like, I started learning more about this technical part, and I was like, oh my god, what is coming is huge, like, for governance and for the technical side. So I don't know what to expect. There is Base with Coinbase, so I don't know who can come and, like, change everything. Like, I'm excited to see that.
It's funny you say that because when I first got started with optimism, like I knew it was one of the L2s, but this was before any of the super chain stuff was even announced, and I liked the team. I thought everyone was great. Um, but as time has gone on, it really seems like with the super chain and like the OP stack, which is completely open source for anybody to use, that it went from being kind of one of many L2s to being the future of Ethereum and the future of crypto even. Um, and so, okay, jumping back a little bit, I'm talking about Ethereum Mexico. You have the big event coming up in October. What other things are you excited about for Ethereum Mexico? Or what about that event are you excited for?
I'm excited, like, for, like, all the things that we are doing together, because, for example, Road to Ethereum Mexico is preparing the local communities. They are connecting between each other, so, like, a community of Puebla is knowing another community of Puebla, so they can collaborate more in the future, and they can come to the event and meet someone from Monterrey or from Merida, and they can, like, exchange some knowledge. Like, we did this in our city that works well. Like, like, we can talk about what is happening in all Mexico, not only Mexico City. Like, I would like to see in the future, like, Ethereum Mexico 2024 or 2025 in another city. Like, what about if it's in Merida or it's in Puebla or Guadalajara or Monterrey? Like, that never happened, or I don't remember, like, big events locally, like, organized in other cities of Mexico. So I'm really excited about that, like, to empower local communities to find funding, and after, like, scale more in the same way that we did. Like, in the first year we had, like, one 1,300 USD, and that we received that until December. Like, in the beginning, we borrow money to Ethereum Mexico. Like, we borrow money to buy the ENS. We borrow money to sign contracts. We pay that. We pay Ariel and we pay CryptoReo until January, I think. So we start like that. We start negotiating places for free. We start giving maybe coffee and cookies, like, like, putting fruits in the center of the table, because we didn't have money to do a huge event. So I think that is a really good example of how local communities can start and can scale to do what we're doing now. For example, I would love to see another communities doing this in the same way.
Amazing. So it's great to see we have such a great audience listening. I wanted to open up the floor if anybody has a comment for Brichis or if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand and we can get to you. And feel free to ask the question in English or in Spanish. Si tiene una pregunta, que pueden preguntarlo or preguntarla. um, and while we're waiting to see if anybody likes to raise their hand, I'm curious if you've seen any any shift in, like, I'm curious in Mexico, how widely known is Ethereum? And have you seen like people in your personal life, do they know about crypto and Ethereum, or have you seen any kind of growth in any of those things, or is that side of uh, crypto technology relatively unknown still?
Like, I think the people that I know in Web3 is really aligned to Ethereum in general. But like, besides that, like the normal people, I don't really know. If like sometimes like I'm on my salsa class and I'm starting to talk about optimism, and I can see their faces of like I'm talking in a really weird language, So yeah, I think in the Web3 ecosystem, in the Web3 people that is in Mexico, yes, there is a lot of like alignment with Ethereum. But outside that, I think we can do a better job. And I think that will be part of our mission too.
Right. It sounds to me like there's so much space for you guys to grow in the future. So we had Web3 Beach raised your hand. Go ahead and the floor is yours.
GM. I just want to say that I'm here in support of Brichis. I love what the whole Ethereum Mexico community is doing. I am so bullish on Mexico. I love seeing all of the coordination games happening between all the different cities. And just like Brichi said, it's really cool getting to know people from the Mexican Ethereum community. And I think you just assume that everyone's in Mexico City, but then once you start getting to know them, you realize that they're really dispersed throughout the country, and also just the diversity and representation. For example, like the nouns amigos are like really well represented in Mexico as well. There's just this pluralistic approach to adoption there, and the way that they're involved throughout different ecosystems, and also focused on funding public goods and funding education and development of Web3. I'm really bullish on all of that. I've had the pleasure to meet a lot of people from the Mexican community at different conferences, and I'm definitely a fanboy for the Mexico Web3 community.
Awesome. Brichis, you have a
Yeah,
response?
I'm 100% agree with Carlos because I think as like a Latin America like country, we work together really well. Like we collaborate a lot between us. Like this Road to Ethereum Mexico is a show of that, but in general, like we're friends. Like for example, where when we had the opportunity of propose missions, like it's like, hey, you do research, you should apply. You do education, you should apply. Like we're friends and we want the best for each other. So even in Ethereum Mexico, we like everyone has their own project on the side, like really good projects on the side. And it's like we always want that we have success in these projects, and in general that the projects of the community had success to have success too.
One thing I have to say, just to add, is that I've traveled a decent amount in my life, and the people that I love the most are the Mexican people. Never, I don't think there's any country where people are more open and willing to be your friends so quickly. And so to hear you guys talk about how, um, the coordination and just meeting other people in the Mexico Ethereum community, I think that's awesome. And you all are definitely the people that we want in Optimism too. Um, Carlos, you raise your hand. Does that mean that you want to add?
Yeah. Just one more thing. This is just like a straight up cold chill. A little birdie told me they're giving you a badge, so I just want you. I just want to make sure you keep an eye out for Web3 Beach for the next Retro PGF votes.
I hear you. So speaking of the nouns community, I see that we have like a bunch of people with nouns profile pics here, including who is this? Namu? Do you want to go ahead and
Yes.
say a few words?
Yes, I can go ahead. Just coming up stage to say how incredibly proud and excited I am for Brichis. So I'm Launamu. I'm part of the Her Latam community, and it's just so incredible to see how far one of our first scholars and our first Hacker Mom scholar has come in her Web3 journey. This is the reason why we do the work that we do, and it is so fundamental for us to have this kind of figures in the space doing all of this incredible work, joining the governance of one of the most interesting projects out there in the blockchain ecosystem, and particularly in the Ethereum community. So super, super excited at the work that Brichis is doing and that she continues to do, and how far along she's coming, and how she continues to support so many other community members, regardless of whether they are Mexican, whether they are from somewhere else in Latam. I know she also has like really strong ties to the community in Turkey, with whom we've been collaborating really closely. And also just like Ashil, Brichis is part of this initiative that we're doing from Her Latam to empower more people in the Latin American ecosystem to participate in the Optimism governance. So we're doing like one-on-one sessions with people that are interested in learning more about it, getting their hands dirty, and just get started to what participating in the Optimism Collective looks like. So feel free to go to Brichis Twitter. I'm sure you'll find a lot of information there, and we are thrilled to see more people in the Optimism Collective.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for those words. And yeah, I think everyone in the audience agrees that Brichis is doing an awesome job. Brichis. Well, we're kind of at the end of time now. Brichis, did you want to say a few words just to plug any, whether it's Ethereum Mexico or your delegate profile? I'll plug that for you. So Brichis is a new delegate. And if you have OP tokens, you can delegate those OP tokens to somebody to vote in governance for you. And the one thing about delegation is it's really hard for delegates to get delegation, even if they're doing an amazing job. So if you have OP tokens and you like the work that Brichis is doing, consider delegating to her, because she has been doing an amazing job and she deserves it. Brichis, did you want to plug anything else before we sign off?
Yes, I'm really happy to see my friends here, like supporting me. Like I feel like el barrio me representa, like I'm really happy. And like I really admire your work, Michael. Thank you for inviting me. Like this was an amazing experience.
It was so much fun. It really was. So thank you everyone for coming. We'll have a recording up pretty soon. Thank you so much for coming. Brichis, you have been an amazing guest. We'll have new episodes. We actually have 3 episodes coming out next week, so stay tuned on Twitter for those. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you all on the internet. Bye-bye.
On Mexico City, October 21st.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mexico City. Where's the best place to get updates on that? The
Ethereum Mexico,
Twitter?
yeah. I don't know. Next week should be the forum open to be a speaker, and we will release the venue too, so you can check places like near to the venue to stay there. Check Airbnbs. So get
Awesome.
ready, Michael. We are waiting for you.
I'll be there. I've already decided I'm going to be there. Hopefully the audience will all be able to hang out there too and say hi.
Of course, we will be your friends, all of us.
All right, I'm excited. All right, thank you everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.